Hello students and welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Shefali Nagpal from Bhagat Phool Singh Mahila Vishwavidyalaya. Today we are going to talk on the module Impact of Globalization under the paper International Business Operations. After completing this module, you will be able to understand the concept of globalization, understand the impact of globalization on Indian economy, positive and negative effect of globalization on Indian economy. Globalization, it means linking the economy of a country with the economies of the other countries by the means of free trade, free mobility of capital and labor, etc. It also means inviting multinational corporations to invest in the domestic economy. Globalization may be defined as a process associated with increasing openness, growing economic interdependence, and deepening economic integration in the world economy. Globalization implies opening of the economy to the foreign investment, removing the obstacles to the entry of multinational corporations, carrying out massive import liberalization by bringing down the import duties considerably, promoting international trade, etc. With the globalization in the country, India, multinational corporations are allowed to enter in number of crucial sectors in which their entry was previously restricted or banned. Globalization assumes that domestic economy should have a close link with the world economy. As a result, there will be unrestricted flow of goods and services, technology and expertise among the different countries of the world. There will be increased cooperation of domestic economy with different economies across the world. Capital and technology will flow from developed countries of the world towards the developing nations like China and India. Multinational corporations are playing an important role in the process of globalization. Now, there is an increased movement of investment, technology, goods and services among different nations. Different countries of the world have come in close contact with one another. Now, movement of the people among the different nations has also increased. With the improvement in the transportation and communication, more people move from one nation to another in search of better jobs, better education, tourism, medical treatment, and many other opportunities. The ultimate aim of globalization is to look upon the world as a global village. Thus, globalization is a process of integrating the domestic economy with the world economy. The globalization mainly includes reducing tariffs and non-tariff barriers across the different nations, allowing free flow of capital among different nations, allowing free flow of technology across different nations, allowing free movement of labor among different nations. Definition of globalization. There are several ways to define globalization. Some of the definition can be stated as under. In the words of Ribbon, Secretary General of UNCTAD, globalization is the integration of world economy as a result of the three main forces. One is increase in the trade in goods and services. Second, increase in the investment of transnational companies and the consequent change in the nature of production. Production is becoming no longer national but as a process that takes place in different countries. And third is international monetary transactions. According to the eminent economist Deepak Nayyar, globalization may be defined as a process associated with increasing openness, growing economic interdependence, and deepening economic integration in the world economy. According to the International Monetary Fund, globalization means growing economic interdependence of different countries through increasing cross-border transaction in goods and services and of national capital flows, also through widespread diffusion of technology. In short, above definitions highlight the following features of globalization. 1. Integration of domestic economy with global economy. Second, opening up of the economy to the foreign capital, foreign technology and foreign competition. Third, free world trade with liberalized approach towards export and imports. Elimination of tariffs and quotas. Fourth, expansion of multinational corporations. And fifth, free flow of international capital. The effects of globalization on business. The effects vary from one part of the world to another and from one area of business to another. Communications infrastructure is most important in digital world and so its businesses, but not all countries have got one. There is also the non-traded sector, that is, goods and services, which are not traded internationally. Following factors can be assessed as key factors affected by the globalization. First, competition. Globalization leads to the increased competition. This competition can be related to the product and services, cost and price, target market, technological adaptation, quick response, quick production by the companies, etc. When a company produces with less cost and sells cheaper, it is able to increase its market share. Customers have large multitude of choices in the market and it affects their behavior. They want to acquire goods and services quickly and in more efficient way than before. They also expect high quality and low prices. All these expectations need a response from the company. Otherwise, sales of the company will decrease and they will lose profit and market share also. A company must always be ready for price, product and service and customer preferences because all of these are global market requirements. Meeting consumer expectation and tastes. Consumers all over the world are better informed, have higher incomes and therefore higher and more challenging expectations. These force marketeers to meet high standards. Marketeers have to research more extensively to understand changing consumer behavior. Economies of scale. Selling into the global market allows for enormous economies of scale, although not all industries benefit from these. Choice of location. Businesses are now much freer to choose where they operate from and can move to a cheaper and more efficient location. This increased movement of business and jobs has to some extent forced governments to compete with each other in providing an attractive and low-cost locations. Inputs vary in the price across the world and businesses now have more freedom in the movement in moving to get hold of those cheaper. One limitation of this is that managers won't always move to some countries if living conditions are unpleasant and even dangerous. Multinational and multicultural management. There is a major challenge to the businesses and their managers. A multinational business environment is more complex with more variables and so is difficult to manage. A multicultural employment policy leads to employees of many different nationalities, languages, religions and cultures in different offices across the globe. These employees react in quite different ways to incentives, motivation, and is very difficult to find out by the managers who are sensitive to all these different factors. It is very easy to inadvertently give offense and demotivated. Repeat करेंगे. It is very easy to inadvertently give offense and demotivate the workers. Globalization of markets. National borders are becoming less and less important. Markets stretch across the borders, and multinational corporations have taken advantage of this. There are issues of language, culture. Still, consumers are more alike. But by no means they are the same. Many businesses have made expensive mistakes by not taking local variation sufficiently into the consideration. Marketing in particular is a minefield because its dependence on language. The marketing books, they are full of stories, often very amusing, of how business got wrong. Knowledge and information transfer. Information is the most expensive and valuable production factor in the current environment. Information can be easily transferred, exchanged from one country to another. If a company have a chance to use knowledge and information, then it means that it can adapt to the global changing. This issue is similar to the technology transfer issue in the global market. The rapid change in the market requires a quick transfer of knowledge and efficient use of that knowledge and information. Fifth is expansion of market. Globalization has expanded the size of the market. It has permitted Indian business units to expand their business to the whole world. Now, multinational corporations have no national boundaries. Indian companies like Infosys, Tata Consultancy, Wipro, Tata Steel, Reliance, they all are doing their business in many countries. Technological development is another factor which the globalization has enabled the flow of foreign technology, which is very superior and advanced. Now, Indian business units use this modern technology. Another factor is brand development. Globalization has promoted the use of branded goods. Now, not only durable goods are branded, but products like garment, juices, snacks, food grains, they are also branded. Foreign brands are very popular among Indian consumers. Brand development has led to the quality improvement. Another factor is development of capital market. Globalization has also helped in the development of the Indian capital markets. Now, many foreign investors invest in Indian capital market. Recently, there has been a substantial increase in the inflow of the foreign direct investment and portfolio investment. Another factor is development of service sector. Globalization has also helped in the growth of the service sector. With the entry of the foreign companies, tremendous improvement has been witnessed in various service sectors like telecommunication, like insurance, like banking. Now, mobile phones are very cheap and very popular in our country. Another important factor of globalization is increase in the employment. Globalization has promoted employment opportunities. Foreign companies are establishing their production and trading units in India. It has increased employment opportunities for Indians. For example, many Indians are presently employed in the foreign insurance companies, mobile companies, software companies. Another factor which is contributed by the globalization is reduction in the brain drain. As a result of globalization, many multinational corporations have set up their business units in our country. These multinational corporations provide attractive salary packages and good working conditions to the efficient, skilled Indian engineers, managers, professionals, and many more. Now, Indians get good employment opportunities in India, and it has resulted in reduction of the brain drain. Improvement in standard of living. As a result of globalization, we also see that the standard of living of the Indian population has improved. Now, Indians get better quality goods at lower prices. Globalization has resulted in reduction of prices in many products, particularly electronic items like television, AC, mobiles, refrigerators, etc. Now, middle income group also uses these luxury products, which was earlier used by the rich class only. Globalization of Indian business. Globalization, liberalization, and privatization were the three cornerstones of India's new economic policy, which was defined in the year 1991. The year 1991 marks the beginning of the new era in the Indian economy. The new objectives to be pursued by the policymakers, strategists, and executive was to make India the largest free market economy of 21st century. In pursuit of this objective, the Indian economy was to be integrated with the world economy through a program of structural adjustment and stabilization. While the stabilization program included inflation control, fiscal adjustment, and balance of payment adjustment, the structural reforms included trade and capital flow reforms, industrial deregulation, disinvestment, and public enterprise reforms and financial sector reforms. The program of economic reform has not been entirely successful, and as a result, globalization processes of the Indian economy has not gathered momentum. Indian business continues to face a number of difficulties and obstacles in the effort to globalize their business. These obstacles are as follows. Government policy and procedure. Government policy and procedure in India are extremely complex and confusing. Swift and efficient action is a prerequisite for globalization, which is sadly missing. The procedure and practice continue to be bureaucratic and hence a speed breaker in globalization effort. Another is high cost of input and infrastructural facilities. The cost of raw material, intermediate goods, power, finance, infrastructure facilities, etc. in India is high, which reduces the global competitiveness of Indian business. The quality and adequacy of infrastructural facilities in India is far from satisfactory. Further, the technology employed by the Indian industries and the style of operation is generally outdated. Next is resistance to change. The pre-reform era, which is from the year 1951 to 1991, breeded lethargy, created rigid structure, system, practices, procedures, and generally instilled a laid-back attitude. These factors are hindrances to the process of modernization, rationalization, and efficiency improvement. Technological change is generally perceived to be employment reducing and hence resisted to the extent possible. For instance, information technology was introduced in India in the early 80s. However, computerization process of nationalized bank began only in the mid-90s. Excess labor is particularly employed in the public sector in areas such as banking, insurance, railway, Indian industry in general. As a result, labor productivity is low and cheap labor in many cases turns out to be dear. Another factor is small size and poor image. Grand Indian firms are known to be global pygmies. A look at the Fortune 500 list would reveal all to you. On the global scale, Indian firms are found to be small in size with low availability of resources. Indian firms, therefore, cannot compete successfully in the international market. Indian products suffer from a poor image in international market for both reasons, valid and otherwise. Indian firms continue to miss consumer focus both domestically and internationally. The value-money equilibrium is missing in Indian products. Further, Indian firms do not have the wherewithal to keep up the delivery schedule, accept large orders, and match up to the international specification. The growing competition and poor spend. Indian firms are not only up and against competition from developed countries but also emerging Asian powerhouses such as South Korea and China. Continuous improvement in the quality and usefulness and competitive cost with a competitive pricing can only keep you afloat, and in order to remain afloat, one has to spend quite a lot in research and development. Both public and private sector outlays on research in India is deliberately low when compared to the developed countries. Another factor is non-tariff barriers. Member nations of the World Trade Organizations are bound to progressively reduce tariff rates across the board over a definite period of time, so that level playing field is created in global trade. Tariff barriers are therefore not of much concern. What concern developing nation in particular are non-tariff barriers imposed by the developed countries. Issues such as child labor, content in some of the product exported by the India to the developed nations has cropped up and remain unresolved. Now let us discuss what are the advantages of globalization. For successful globalization, countries need to chalk out the strategies and policies to open up the doors for the inflows of foreign direct investment. foreign direct investment by the multinational corporations bring with it flow of foreign exchange or foreign capital, inflow of technology, real capital goods, managerial and technical skills, and technical know-how also. Globalization can easily promote export of the countries by exploiting its export potential in the right way. Globalization can be the engine of growth by facilitating export-led growth strategy of developing country. Globalization can provide sophisticated job opportunities to the qualified people and check brain drain in the country. Globalization would provide varieties of product to the consumer at the cheaper rate when they are domestically produced rather than imported. This would help in improving the economic welfare of the consumer class. Under globalization, the rising inflow of the capital would bring foreign exchange into the country. Consequently, the exchange reserve and balance of payment position of the country can improve. This also help in stabilizing the external value of the country's currency. Under global finance, companies can meet their financial requirement easily. Global banking sector would facilitate e-banking and e-business. This would integrate country's economy globally and its prosperity would be enhanced. Now let us discuss some of the disadvantages of globalization. Globalization is never accepted as unmixed blending. Critics have pessimistic view about its ill consequences. When a country is opened up and its market economy and financial sectors are well liberalized, its domestic economy may suffer owing to the foreign economic invasions. A developing economy hence lacks sufficient maturity. Globalization may have adverse effect on its growth. Globalization may kill domestic industries when they fail to improve and compete with foreign, well-managed, well-established firms. Globalization may result into economic imperialism. Unguarded openness may become a playground for speculators. It may lead to unemployment, poverty, growing economic inequalities. Effects of globalization on Indian economy. Now let us discuss some of the positive effect of the globalization and the negative effect of globalization on our economy. First, let us discuss about the positive effect on globalization. It includes increase in the foreign trade. As a result of the foreign trade policies adopted in the wake of globalization, India's share in the world trade has gone up. In the year 1990-91, India's share in the world trade was 0.53%. In 1995-96, it rose to 0.60%, and in the year 2009-10, it is further increased to 1.78%. The above table shows that as a result of globalization of India's foreign trade, there has been some increase in the India's share in the world trade. Share of India's export in India's GDP has also been constantly rising. In the year 1990-91, it was 6% of the GDP that rose to 15.54% in the year 2009 and 10. In the table below, you can see India's share in the world trade. Above table shows that as a result of globalization of India's foreign trade, there has been some increase in the India's share in the world trade. India's share in the global merchandise trade stood at 2% in 2015. Share of India's export in the India's GDP has also been constantly rising. In the year 1990-91, it was 6% of the GDP that rose to 15.54% in the year 2009-10. GDP rose to an average of 6.9 in 2013-14 and to 7.5 in the year 2015. The second is increase in foreign investment. As a consequence of the globalization, there has been a considerable increase in the foreign direct investment as well as the foreign portfolio investment. The foreign direct investment is made by the foreign companies in order to establish wholly owned companies in another country and to manage them or to purchase share of the companies in another country for the purpose of managing such companies. The main characteristic of the foreign direct investment is that native companies are managed by the foreign companies and new companies are set up in India by the foreign companies. In this type of investment, it is the foreign investor who takes the risk and is solely responsible for the profit and loss of such company. Another is a portfolio investment. Under this type of investment, foreign companies or foreign institutional investors buy shares, debentures of native companies. However, management and control remain vested with the native domestic companies themselves. There is a significant increase in the foreign investment in India. In the year 1990-91, the total foreign investment and the portfolio investment was 103 million US dollars, which in the year 2007 and 8, amount of foreign investment increased to 62,106 million US dollars. Due to global slowdown, inflow of the foreign investment in the year 2008 and 9, it has reduced to 23,983 million US dollars. In the year 2009 and 10, again inflow of the foreign investment has increased to approximately 70 million US dollars. FDI inflow into the India increased to 55 billion US dollar in the year 2015 and 16 as compared to the US $45 billion in 2014 and 15. Because of the significant increase in the foreign investment, India began to experience a surplus balance of payments and a very remarkable improvement in the foreign exchange reserves. Another is increase in the foreign collaborations. Globalization has promoted collaborations of the foreign companies with many Indian companies. These collaboration agreements can be technical collaborations, financial collaborations, or both. In financial collaboration, foreign companies provide the financial resources, while in the technical collaboration, modern foreign technology is provided by the foreign companies. Foreign companies are setting up many enterprises in India in collaboration with Indian companies. Another is increase in the foreign exchange reserves. As a result of the globalization of Indian economy, the foreign exchange reserves have also increased substantially. In the year 1991, foreign exchange reserve of India amounted to rupees 4,388 crore, which in the March 2011 increased to rupees 13,43,188 crores. So that means it is approximately 300 billion US dollars. Thus, there has been a tremendous increase of 306 times in the foreign exchange reserve of India. Fifth is increase in efficiency of PSUs, that is, public sector units. With the globalization, privatization and liberalization, commonly called as LPG, the efficiency of the public sector units has increased. With the increase in the competition, the threat of privatization, now the public sector units are also under the pressure to cut down the wasteful expenses and increase productivity and efficiency. There are obstacles in the path of globalization as well. For example, bureaucratic hurdles. Business units have to face many bureaucratic hurdles in the form of much documentation, lengthy and cumbersome procedures, etc. Many foreign investors hesitate to invest in Indian economy due to excessive administrative hindrances. Another factor is unstable government policy. In India, there are frequent changes in the ruling party. As a result, the economic policies of the government are not stable. Frequently, changing economic policies discourage the long-term investor to invest in the Indian economy. Moreover, there is a lack of transparency in the working of government, which has also raises the doubts in the minds of the foreign investors. Third is backward technology. In Indian industries, level of technology is very poor and low as compared to advanced nation. Research and development of technology is also very poor in India. Due to backward technology, Indian products are of poor quality. Indian companies find it difficult to expand their business in foreign nation due to poor quality products. Fourth is poor infrastructure. In India, infrastructural facilities are poor as compared to the developed nations. multinational corporations hesitate to invest in India due to poor infrastructure. Lack of strong infrastructure also creates the hindrances in the expansion of Indian companies in other nations also, like lack of sufficient port facility is a great hindrance in export and import transactions. Other factors are small size business units. In India, most of the business units are family owned. Their business activities mainly remain confined to the local or regional level. They cannot think of expanding their business activities to the other nations. Similarly, lack of global vision. Very few entrepreneurs in India have global vision. Most of the entrepreneurs have a narrow vision. They do not have global orientation. They avoid risk involved in the foreign business and remain confined to the local or at the most national level. Another factor is increasing global competition. Indian goods have to face tough competition in the global market from the products of the other nations. Increasing global competition has made it very difficult for the Indian exporters to sell their products in global market. Now let us discuss the negative effect of globalization. First, loss of domestic industries. As a consequence of globalization, foreign competition has increased in India. Now, Indian industrial units have to compete with the foreign industrial units. Because of the better quality and low cost of foreign goods, many Indian industrial units have failed to face competition and have been closed. Small and cottage industries are worst hit by this increased competition. The another is unemployment. Foreign companies operating in India use capital-intensive technology. Even some Indian companies use imported capital-intensive technology. With the increasing use of computer and automatic machine, employment avenues are reduced. Third is exploitation of labor. Globalization is exploiting unskilled workers by giving low wages, less job security, long working hours. Laborers have to work even in these conditions because bad job and less wages are better than no jobs. The another negative effect of globalization is demonstration effect. With the easy availability of the foreign goods, demonstration effect has increased among Indians. Now, many consumers are using luxury products by imitating others. It has promoted tendency of wasteful consumption in the country, and this increasing wasteful expenditure has in turn reduced the saving and capital formation. The next is increase in inequalities. Globalization has increased inequalities in our economy. It has benefited many multinational corporations and the big industrial units, but the small and the cottage industries are adversely hit by it. It has increased income inequalities in the country also. The another negative impact is on dominance of the foreign institutions. With globalization, the dominance of the foreign institutions has increased in India. It has helped the foreign companies enlarging their market share. For example, Indian cold drink market, a large share is controlled by the Pepsi and Coca-Cola, which are foreign companies. Political impact of globalization. Globalization has multidimensional character, covering economic, social, political, and cultural aspect. The main political impact of globalization is as follows. Improvement in cross-border relationship. Globalization has increased interaction among the different nations of the world. It has made the whole globe one market. It has improved the relations among different nations. Another is changing role of bureaucracy. The globalization and liberalization have resulted in procedural simplification. It has reduced the government intervention in the economic activities. Earlier, bureaucracy was a hurdle in the path of development, but now it's a booster, accelerator, and facilitator in the development process. Another is growth of capitalism. Globalization has promoted capitalism across the world. Even countries like China and Russia, who were great advocates of socialism, have adopted capitalism. The another factor is changing role of government. Prior to globalization, government has to participate in economic politics. So students, let's now summarize what we have learned in this module. New and ever-improving communication technology has spread throughout the world, allowing international marketing campaigns to be coordinated all from a domestic base. The internet and the mobile phones have opened up entirely new international industries with endless potential. Globalization has changed the way the people shop. Consumers are better able to shop around for good deals and are prepared to buy the product from the overseas market without necessarily viewing product first-hand. Globalization has also increased the market competition, in turn increasing the importance of effective international marketing. Many organizations cannot rely on the fact that they are the only players in long-head domestic market. There are new competitors from overseas appearing all the time. Transport and distribution systems are more efficient than ever before, making it easier, faster, and cheaper for the business to get their product to consumers. Electronic transfers have also made making and receiving international payments faster and more secure. Finance is readily available to both consumers and organizations, thanks to the globalization of many financial providers. Investors are interested in spreading their investments over a wide range of markets to reduce their overall level of risk. And increased availability of capital market, it's easier for the organizations to finance their international market efforts. Thank you.